we call this life balance. And the life balance, the research on life balance, started with the need for the busy people, you know, urban people, modern people, who has to do a lot of things at home, at work, and related to himself or herself. So how does one, you know, manage this busy life? That's how it started, and the research on this has started in the world between two domains of life, work and family. So initially, researchers wanted to know whether or not work interferes with family, family interferes with work, and then what happens to those people who have difficulty balancing these two areas. Then, you know, when I started doing research in this field in the last almost 15 years now, and I was, you know, giving trainings to people, voluntary trainings. In one of these trainings, somebody asked me whether or not, you know, they should attend to themselves. So because she was a person who was almost retired at that time, and she said, okay, you know, now my work responsibilities have almost ended, and my family responsibilities are now almost ended because the children are grown up. How about me? I always think, now I look back, I always think that I missed something in life, and I never attended to myself. So from that point onwards, we have started to include the self domain in this life balance picture. So what we're saying is that, you know, if people are happy about the demands of meeting the demands in work life, meeting the demands in their family life, but at the same time meeting the demands for themselves. So obviously we have some demands from ourselves as well. We want to, for example, work out regularly. We want, for ourselves, we want to attend to medical checkups regularly. We want to spend time with our high school friends regularly. We want to you know, go to shopping sometimes, or whatever that we want to do for ourselves, right? That is also a demand that we put from ourselves. We also expect, I mean, everybody expects something from us in the work area, in the family area, but we also want something from ourselves. So how do you balance these three? And the way we approach it is that, you know, life balance in these three areas is that if a person is satisfied with the level of meeting those demands in those three areas, to the extent that is satisfying to them, then we think that the person is satisfied. So at the end of the day, if someone thinks that, okay, now, you know, I believe that I have satisfied the demands in my work life, in my family life, and I also did something for myself, and, you know, I'm pretty happy about all three areas in terms of meeting the demands, then we think that people are psychologically balanced, right? So it is not somebody else's perspective. For example, your boss may not be happy about the level of meeting demands, or your family may not be happy about the level of meeting their demands, but psychologically, if people feel that, you know, it's satisfying to them, that, you know, they can, you know, juggle these the balls, different balls in life, to the extent that it gives them pleasure and satisfaction, that is life balance for us, psychological life balance for us. So the self area is something new that we included in this life balance model, and we wanted to contribute to the world literature by emphasizing the importance of self. Because if people do not attend to themselves, do not satisfy the needs and expectations and wishes of themselves, they would not be physically and psychologically happy and healthy to attend to others' needs or others' demands in life. But unfortunately, we tend to prioritize others' demands in life, especially family, especially when the family is young, or children are young, or parents are old. We tend to attend to their needs. Or when we're new in a job, we tend to attend to their needs. So usually, unfortunately, the self area is the one that is being pushed down in the priority list in our lives. And that's what we wanted to highlight. That is not being selfish, but that is being healthy and happy so that you can attend to others' needs. It's just like the announcements that you hear in the you know, when you get into a plane. They say if there's a pressure change, then you have to attend to yourself first before helping others. That may include your child. You shouldn't, you know, attend to your child. You should first attend to yourself. So that self area is very important for us. That's what we mean by life balance, that we need to be satisfied and feel happy about meeting the demands in 3 areas. The most recent research projects that we completed show that it is not only doing everything, doing million things, you know, attending to the need of others in the work and in family, and also doing a lot of things for yourself. You know, those people are, you know, jugglers, multitaskers. It's wonderful, but at the end of the day, if they feel exhausted, burned out, okay, and they're very tense in their relationships because they're so tired of doing all sorts of things, then that's not a balance either. We'd rather have people who do less things but more happy and energetic and interpersonally you know, competent, and interpersonal relationships are better for those people. So we also included, therefore, the psychological well-being component into life balance, okay? It's fine to be busy and doing lots of things in life, but if you're exhausted and if you are, you know, tense all the time, then it's not a balanced life. That's how we approach life balance. According to our research projects and many other research projects in the world, there are 2 factors that can debalance people, so to speak. One is the perceived workload. So it is not how much you do, how many things that you do, how long hours that you work and what have you, but it is the perceived, felt workload. So for example, if someone feels that, you know, I have too much to do, I cannot really you know, meet anything, any demand, I cannot really finish anything, there is too much that I can what I can handle. That feeling is the psychological workload. It's not the physical workload, but psychological workload, because there are some people who do little things or less things and feel overworked, and there are others who do lots of things, but they don't think that, you know, they don't think that they don't feel the pressure as such, because they are good in time management, they are good in delegation, they are good in teamwork, so they can just share the responsibility, they are good in saying no to people. So there are people who have very, very busy lives, but they don't feel the pressure of that busyness. That is why we say the perceived or felt workload rather than the actual workload. So that is one. If people have this you know, psychological workload and pressure, then their balance is disturbed. The other factor is, of course, the support that we receive from others. Again, support can come from family, support can come from paid workers in the family, for example, or at work. And most importantly, at work, the managerial support, the support that comes from one's direct manager, is very important. Because in some organizations, there are work-life balance policies. Flexible hours, extended maternity leaves, compressed weekdays. You know, in terms of policies, everything is there. But in terms of implementing these policies, using these policies, it is unfortunately the discretion of the manager. If the manager would not allow you to use these policies, or would evaluate you negatively when you use these policies, then unfortunately people cannot get support from their organization. So managerial support is extremely important at work. That's what we find. And in terms of personal competencies, as I said, time management, stress management, communication, ability to say no, especially, and delegation, sharing the workload, both in the family as well as at work, are very important support mechanisms, competencies that support us. First of all, what we mean by losing balance, let us elaborate on that. Three areas of life, as we said: work, family, and self. Usually when people feel that they lose balance, that would mean that one area dominates others. So usually it is the work area that interferes with family and self. So those people who have high level of stress and or high level of workload in their work environment, professional environment, carries it over to the family domain and to self domain in such a way that they don't have the time and energy to do anything to meet the demands of the family or the self. That's what we mean by imbalance. One area dominates the other, and it's usually, unfortunately, the work area that dominates others or interferes others. It can also happen the other way around, sometimes under certain circumstances, at the time of divorce, at the time of giving birth, at the time of sick parents. Some crisis may happen in the family domain, or moving to another place, for example, that may interfere with other areas, work areas, and the self. But it is usually work or family that would interfere with self. So as I said, people usually push the self back. So that's what happens when there is imbalance. One area dominates others. Now, as a result of this, people feel a number of psychological well-being problems. For example, their life satisfaction decreases, the satisfaction that they get from life. Their depressive symptomologies, not depression per se, but depressive symptomologies increases. Sometimes alcohol or drug abuse can happen as a result of this, the feeling that you cannot handle everything in life. So these are the psychological well-being problems. Burnout, of course, is something that is also very much experienced. So this is the well-being, psychological well-being component of it. There is also physiological, of course, threat to physiological well-being, that is psychology-driven, psychosomatic problems like cardiovascular problems, musculoskeletal problems, and other physiological problems arising from the psychological stress may be experienced. At the same time, people develop a tendency to quit. Usually it is to quit the work. They want to, as you may sometimes hear from the news, very successful, some of the very successful people may quit the work all of a sudden and go to a village life and try to end all this chaos in their lives. Of course, it is of course, some people really, do it out of a lot of planning and wanting and what have you. But some people do it out of an immediate response to stress in their lives. So it's not very healthy if it is done that way. So quitting, sometimes ending marriages, of course, quitting family life. So whatever you can quit, people have a reaction to do that. Also job performance may decrease as a result of work-life imbalance issues. So these are typical responses to imbalance. Okay. So when you think about it from a systems theory point of view, all of us live in in a social network or a system. We're not alone. So what we do influence others in our lives. And the research that we have been conducting show that there is a spillover effect. What we mean by spillover is one individual's work-life imbalance influences the other partner in the family, and these are like, you know, this is happening among or between spouses, husbands and wives. And also, especially mothers' work-life imbalance can influence their children's behavioral problems because their parenting changes. They are less responsive parents. They are more controlling parents, for example, and therefore their children's behavioral problems may increase as a result of that. Also in the work life, of course, if someone experiences, an employee experiences severe work-life imbalance, the person is expected to be very stressful, psychologically not quite happy and healthy, and therefore, of course, that will influence their team environment, his or her relationships with his peers and his or her bosses and managers. So that also affects work life. But a lot of research has gone in the spillover effect in the family domain, and we have shown evidence in Turkey as well that that one's work-life imbalance unfortunately influences others. It is somewhat contagious. To that extent, and therefore we have to take care of it for ourselves, but also for the loved ones in our lives.